What is up? What is up? What is up, YouTube? It's your boy mktrill back at it one more time. Another week gone, another race made. Today we're gonna have something slightly different, and actually it's gonna be quite a bit different than what we're used to. Before today, we've done 4 cars. 2 of them were both Dukes. One was the Duke and one was the Duke of Death. So they're the same car, it's just one is armored and one isn't. So they're in the same category, they have everything the same. The other one was the 900R versus the regular Banshee. So the Banshee 900R versus the regular Banshee. That one was a little bit different because even though they were the same car, they weren't even in the same category. One of them was a sports car, and the other one was a supercar. So, same car, both Banshees, they were just programmed different, if that's what you could say. They were built differently. It's basically kind of like having 2 separate cars, but they were both of the same brand. And as you can see, I'm still driving the Banshee 900R. I love this car. I love this car. But today we're going to go a different route. I had 2 different cars lined up. I was going to race them again, along the same lines. But towards, what was it? Towards the end of the week, my wife is like, let's change it up. What happened was, she was fixing up her swinger that she got from the podium car. And I test drove it, and I wasn't really enjoying it. It seemed really slow, but she liked it. So then I pulled out my mamba, and she's like, hey, why don't we race these 2 cars? I mean, they're both sports classics, so at least they're in the same class this time. And they're very similar in, like, design. They're not the same car, but they're very similar in design. So I figured, that's not a bad idea. We're going to race 2 completely different cars in the same class. And they're both podium cars, so we can at least do that. So here we are. This is the Mamba. And remember last week how I said I think the brakes aren't going to be a factor for any car? Like, I thought that was going to be the same across the board. I was wrong. The brakes on this car were terrible. Like, it's hard to tell on this video, but you really had to brake early. And you had to know the turn was coming. And to start braking early. Also, on top of that, the torque on this car was high. And I know some people don't really know too much about cars. Torque is the turning force of the tires, or turning force in general. So the turning force on these tires was high, which means the tires turned fast. And it sounds like it'd be a good thing, but in a race, when you're starting off from a stop, it burns out a lot, and that's not a good thing. As you'll see after this turn right here, look how long it takes for me to get grip. Right? I guess that was the greatest. But you'll see, there's a couple times where my tires just spin, and then catch grip. And that's costly in a race. But besides that, it was really fun to drive. I know I've said that about every car I've driven so far. I really love driving in this game. This game actually locked down the driving. But this car, in general, was a really fun car to drive. And the reason I like this car to drive was because it drifted well. It drifted and it handled. Look at this drift right around this corner. It didn't lose control while it was drifting like some other cars on this game. And it was a blast to drift around the corners. But like I said, braking, look how far back I had to brake. And then I think right here you can see how long, I guess, it's not really justified. You'll see it on a straightaway how long it takes to burn out. This here is the swinger. And right off the bat, I gotta tell you, I thought this car was kind of ugly. When I first saw it, standing from the side, it is hard to tell whether the front end is on the left or the right. It looks exactly the same on both ends. It is weird. And when I was driving it, it felt super slow. The brakes were good. The brakes actually were just as good as the other one. So even though they're both two sports classics, these brakes were way better. So I guess brakes are going to be a small factor. They are going to matter a bit. But it's just, this car was not fun to drive. And it took me a while to realize why it wasn't fun to drive. It's not that it was a slow car. It's not that it was a hard to control car. The problem is, if you can see here, it starts off kind of sluggish, and that's because the torque is kind of low. The acceleration is good. It actually accelerates pretty quick, but it doesn't feel like it because you don't burn out like you normally do under normal circumstances. And that's kind of offsetting. It's off-putting, not offsetting, I'm sorry. And it just wasn't what I wanted in a car. But the results speak for themselves. I'm not going to give it away, but as you could tell already, this car was a good race car. But the control, I think it controlled a little too well. It didn't drift at all. It wasn't, it had nothing to it except for acceleration. As you'll see here, I'll put them head to head like I always do. Check out the difference in a burnout right off the bat. You're going to see them both burn out at the same time, and you're going to see the distance. Look at the right's already done and the left just finished. That is a huge difference, especially, so that was just one start, but on a regular course, you're going to be stopping and starting constantly. It's not going to be just a one and go, you know? And look at the head start that the Swinger has on the right versus the Mamba on the left. Look at the distance. Let's count it out as soon as we pass that sign. And 1, 2. That's about a 2-second difference. That in a race is a huge difference. The Swinger had a huge advantage when it came to speed, but as you can see, it's hard to tell now, but little by little, the Mamba was catching up. And I mean little by little. I believe the Mamba is only like 2-3 miles an hour faster. So, if the course was twice as long, the Mamba would have passed up the Swinger. But it didn't. It was a close race. But you could already see that the Mamba is catching up. It's hard to tell, but towards the end of the race, you're really gonna be able to tell that the Mamba has a decent shot. The problem is, like I said last time, you're never gonna go this straight. You're never gonna hit your top speed this long. So, as far as racing goes, I'm gonna have to give it to the Swinger. We're coming up to the end right now, and what I'm about to show you, I'm gonna put the times out. I don't want to put the times before because I really wanted you guys to experience it all together. Look at the difference. That's like less than a half. That's less than a second. That's like a half-second difference. Look at this. The Swinger actually on the course came out faster than the Banshee, faster than the supercar, faster than the sports car. That surprised me. It's a sports classic and it beat a supercar. But in any case, if you guys like this, like always, drop a like, leave a comment, let me know what you thought, what cars I should do next, and if you're new to me, subscribe, and have a good afternoon.
That's trill, homie.